Remember just last month when tens of thousands of National Guard troops flooded the streets of Washington, D.C.? We were told they were there to protect the Capitol from the right-wing assault that was going to happen any minute, right? It's going to unfold right on Inauguration Day. Newsflash, as you already know, that didn't actually happen. There were no riots. There was no violence. There were some socially distanced cheers from masked members of government. That's what happened on Inauguration Day. And yet D.C. still looks like a militarized war zone. U.S. soldiers from 23 different states are stationed in our capital and plan on staying there till at least mid-March. So what's the real reason why these troops are occupying D.C.? And why isn't the media covering it? Here to weigh in is senior congressional correspondent at the Daily Caller, Henry Rodgers. My friend Henry, good to see you.
Hey, Buck. Thanks for having me, man.
First, let's just start with, how's it looking on the streets of D.C. these days? I remember talking to friends a few weeks ago, and they were saying you had to provide proof to be able to get to your own building in the neighborhood if you lived in downtown because of the lockdown by the National Guard, all because of MAGA threats.
That is absolutely correct, Buck. I mean, I live downtown. My building was occupied basically by the Secret Service. Outside, it was a checkpoint. I had to show my lease in order to get onto my street. And then in order to get in my building, show my lease again and be able to scan my key fob. So that was just like a day of or a week of chaos there. The thing is it never really ended. So I work in the Capitol, as you know, and there's these massive fences they installed before, like you were just speaking about, with razor wire and all of this National Guard, hundreds of, if not thousands of National Guard still sitting around. And that's even a problem, getting an Uber to the Capitol. Nowadays you have to walk several blocks in order to even to see the nation's capital up close. So, I originally sent out a tweet after this happened. I was like, so surely after Biden's inaugurated, all of this stuff will be taken down, right? Because this was all set up for the vicious riots that we were expecting throughout the Capitol. That never happened. But they're still up, Buck, and I don't think there's any plans for them to come down anytime soon.
And we see that there are some out there, like the governor, this was from last week, Governor Pritzker, said that he's activating 500 National Guard members, this is from out in Illinois, for a security mission in D.C. until mid-March. And he wrote, "We must root out the dark forces of racism, white supremacy, and disinformation that have created this moment. But until we do that, our extraordinary National Guard troops will deploy with honor." Disinformation? Now the National Guard gets deployed to our nation's capital to combat what? Mean memes? What are they doing?
It really beats me, Buck. I haven't seen anything like this in my lifetime. I've lived here for my entire life. So that's quite a while now. And I've lived here for my entire life. Never seen anything like this. I don't think anyone I know has. If you walk into the United States Capitol, there are hundreds of National Guards and just laying on the floors of the Capitol still, walking around, getting Capitol tours right now, broad day, nothing going on, nothing to be seen, no chaos. So compare that to what I was covering this summer with BLM riots going all throughout the streets, all throughout the White House, a church being set on fire right next to my apartment building. This is stuff that the National Guard should have been here for, and they should have been armed.
This was from Inauguration Week. We're showing people again. This is now from a couple of weeks ago, but that's what the scene was there of people of National Guard members camped out in the actual Capitol, as we know. Later sent to the garage where they had no bathroom access really, or electricity or anything else, because that's how much Democrats really care about the National Guard. But I also want to ask, what can you tell us about the current state of a financial rescue package? We've been hearing about this.
Yeah.
There are supposed to be checks. Biden said, we're going to get the $2,000 checks. Now maybe it's $1,400 or it's another number. Where does that negotiation stand? I mean, I'm seeing all the stuff from Biden about the executive orders, but Congress, you're the congressional correspondent for the Caller. Are they actually going to do their job and get some money to people that are suffering because of all the lockdowns?
Well, I remember Joe Biden said after they won Georgia, after they won the Senate seats in Georgia, he said, hey, listen, if you vote for Democrats and if we win these 2 seats in Georgia, you will 100% be getting your $2,000 stimulus checks. Well, we are several weeks in, if not almost a month into the administration now, and that's completely flopped. Republicans were over there yesterday, for almost just a stunt meeting. Obviously, there was nothing that was going to come out of it. Jen Psaki, the press secretary, said so. beforehand that there was nothing going to be coming out of it. So right now, I mean, they're focused on impeachment. Impeachment starts next week. They're going to impeach the guy who's no longer president. And that's where all their focus seems to be lying right now, not on the American people who need the stimulus money very badly.
And you mentioned Jen Psaki and the Psaki bombs that are being dropped on a daily basis. The Biden White House has come under, I mean, look, this is one of these, it doesn't really matter, but I think it's a little bit indicative of just how full of it the whole Biden team of good government geniuses that are all running things now. Yeah, right. They've come under fire because there's a claim out there, I believe, from Jed Palmieri over at ABC News that there's some screening of White House press briefing questions going on beforehand. Here we have, our goal is to make the daily briefing as useful as possible. This is from the White House. Part of the meeting, that objective means regularly engaging with reporters, yada, yada, important part, blah, blah. Basically saying, this is a boilerplate nonsense statement to Fox News they put out. But can you tell us, what are you hearing from I know you're friends with some of the White House correspondents. I mean, is Jen Psaki trying to get word about what the questions are going to be before? I mean, the questions are all gentle except from Fox News anyway.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything personally, Buck, but I will tell you the Daily Beast put out a story basically saying the exact same thing with 3 sources on the record. And they're pretty friendly with a lot of the media in the White House, saying that they were being screened for questions. Jen Psaki was essentially asking them, or other staffers in the press team were asking them what they were thinking about question-wise in these briefings. And I think that's just absolutely wild. I mean, Buck, I think this is crazy because if Donald Trump were to have done this, if Kayleigh McEnany were to have done this, can you imagine the attack on the free press, all the crap we would have been hearing right now? But, not one reporter today in the press briefing room even asked the White House about these allegations. You would think someone would ask about them because I think they deserve to be asked about. If the White House press secretary is screening reporters' questions before they're asked, that's insane. I mean, the press access we already know is going to be very limited in this administration. It's going to look a lot like the Obama administration, I fear, if not worse. But the Trump administration had the most access, and yet reporters complain the most. We'll see how it turns out in a couple months here with that one.
To borrow from Psaki Bomb, Henry, you can circle back with us when you have more answers.
Yeah, exactly.
Anytime you don't have an answer, my friend, just tell us you'll circle back, and there we go. We're good to go. Henry Rodgers, the Daily Caller. My man, hold down the fort down in D.C., all right? Don't let it get too crazy. Good to see you.